last week, the idea I was sort of exploring was just a direct copy. So I had a look at this. We had a look at this Chardin painting, and I started making a direct copy in oils. Didn't get very far, but that's the start of that one. I thought this week I would have a go at paint something in the style of another artist. So I've been looking at Van Gogh. So using this Van Gogh painting as a reference, and then I thought I'd try and apply that kind of style to this photograph of South Church Park. So that's it. Yeah, keep it local.
Yeah, make it difficult.
That's it, yeah. So what I've done so far, I'm just using acrylics because they're nice and straightforward. I thought acrylics would lend themselves because although he painted in oils, they're very distinct paint marks. I've done a bit of underpoint painting, and I haven't particularly researched his techniques. I mean, there will be information in some of these books here on their techniques. One thing that occurred to me was like there's really quite bright colours, and when Van Gogh and the Impressionists were painting, it was a time when new colours came on the market, and traditionally artists had made their own colours, but there were like new synthetic colours came about. I know that some of the colours, particularly some of the yellows that he used, have faded over time. So I used to use a yellow called chrome yellow, which is quite very poisonous yellow, as are our cadmium yellows. But that one, so those sort of brown-looking sunflowers that we've got in the National Gallery would have looked a lot yellower originally. So that's one thing. But it just occurred to me when I was painting how sort of vivid these greens are, and that would have been probably why there would have been new colours come about. So as I say, I've done a little bit of underpointing. I thought next week I'll perhaps do a little bit on drawing techniques, look at maybe one or two. I quite like Van Gogh's one, drawing techniques, but there are other artists you could look at as well, particularly for anyone who's interested in drawing. Is there anything else you'd particularly like me to cover in this sort of thing? We've got an idea from the last demo. Sorry? All of it, yeah. All of it.
Constable's oil sketches.
Constable's oil sketches, okay.
Not as finished up.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to look at, wouldn't it? Yeah.
There is a book, I think, in the South End Library, but it's all very impressionistic.
Yeah.
Oil school.
Yeah, that would be good to look at, and very very kind of in line with a lot of the stuff I do in my own work, kind of working outdoors and things like that. Apart from he then did bigger paintings in the studio from his outdoor work. Okay, so yeah, just noticing the way he's painted this tree, he's kind of got a little bit of a flat area in the middle, but also he's got this way of sort of outlining things, which I haven't done so far. So I thought I did this. So this demo I started the other day, and this flat colour around the edges I've just added now. So it's more like an ongoing demo. Let's see. So I'll start with the tree trunk, and it looks like a kind of greeny colour is used to outline with it, which is an unusual colour to choose. I'm thinking perhaps some sort of outlining, or a bit oil easel. And it's quite interesting to see, how I would normally paint that and just see it start to emerge as a different sort of style, really. And I'll do a little bit on this one too. And maybe slightly vary that colour. This one coming down, which I think there is a bit of variation there. Come down to here. And then I'm thinking all these areas of willow trees. I mean, he's got in his tree, they're very, very curly, but I think probably a more gentle curve. And I thought I'd try using, rather than mixing a green, it will be a green out of the tube that I've then adjusted. So the original greens I've put here are all mixed greens, but I thought let's try some of these straight out the tube greens. I've got one of my David Hockney books here, and he's an artist that I think is very influenced by some of the modern masters, particularly Van Gogh and Matisse and Picasso. And if you look at some of his paintings, you can sort of see where he's sort of made marks that are similar to Van Gogh, and he started interpreting the landscapes or interiors with an eye to some of the masters. I think sort of gentler kind of.
It's brush marks that are unique to a painter. I mean, he doesn't seem so precise, you know.
Yeah, he doesn't, does he? No. They're always quite crude, aren't they, really? Yeah. I'm sort of feeling like, this is much cruder than I normally paint, but
it's very tempting to just do your own thing, I should
Well, it is, but it's quite nice to just sort of feel your way in.
Yeah.
It's almost like sort of trying somebody else's boots on and just working.
Yeah.
I think for me, it does get me to sort of really look a little bit more carefully and just analyse what the techniques are and how the artists have, developed it. And also, it's a freedom. It's a freedom to just try something I wouldn't normally do. Like I'm just thinking, I quite fancy putting a bit of this bright blue in there now, and that, there's almost feels like a sort of bluey tinge in there. One of the reasons I picked this as a project is that I've started, or I have occasionally done little sketches of other artists' work, more contemporary artists really, artists that I like. And just as a way of just thinking, well, how can I move my own work on? Where could I go with my own work? I've painted in the style that I've painted for quite a while now, and it's just a way of thinking, well, do I want to keep going that way? Should I try something else? Where can I go, really? I think it is always important to explore and just be experimental, just try different things from time to time. And then sometimes a little bit of that might just seep into the way you normally paint. So that's really part of the intention behind this particular project. I think the trees, so there's a bit of tree trunk, a bit of trees, and then the water, I'll just do a little bit on the water. And again, I'm thinking, this looks quite sort of flat, but I'm thinking probably some smaller marks. So I've just got all my little brushes out, but I can leave, perhaps not quite that light, just add a little bit of blue to that. Sort of build that up with and actually, when you look at, particularly the Impressionists, if you look at someone like Monet, you can really see the brushwork. He doesn't sometimes they blend together a bit, but they're still quite thick, distinct brush marks. I think Van Gogh's almost like a kind of graphic mark, whereas Monet might be a bit more blended, but they're still very distinct marks. So maybe some of those, and perhaps a little bit of a lighter. There. And then could do the same with the shadows and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I often sort of look at, is it Surat who
Yes.
does this point?
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness. I mean, how long does it take you to do those paintings? Because they're not small.
They're not. They're 8 foot wide, some of them. Yeah. And he didn't paint very many. He didn't live that long, but I think he was in his 20s when he died, or 30s. But yeah, there aren't that many of them. But yeah, they are. They're amazing paintings. Yeah, once the group, some of the people on the Tuesday morning class have been there, about 3 of them. Had a lot of people doing little dotty paintings. Yeah. But then you could do, I mean, in a sense, this is a little bit of a development of that. And there's also some of the fauve artists that came after Van Gogh kind of use even bigger marks, big sort of distinct marks. So, yeah.
See, when I'm doing things, I almost don't want to leave a mark. I keep smoking it out.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, well, it's not right or wrong. It's just that there's other territory, that you can try different things. And I'm the same, really. I mean, the latest painting I've done is a very, very detailed portrait, and I've tried to make it as smooth as I can.
Yeah.
But then, the paint itself has a beauty to it. The textures have beauty to it. I think that's the thing that distinguishes modern art. Is it's not pretending to be something else. It's not trying to smooth all the edges out. It does leave the paint marks looking like paint marks.
Not at all.
The Impressionists shocked everybody.
Yeah,
When they were doing the bold colours.
It was. Yeah, it was bold.
They
It was
shocked
shocking.
everybody
Yeah.
who were used to doing these forms.
Yeah. I think nowadays artists use whatever they want. Some people paint very, very smooth, very detailed. Others will be very, big marks,
That's
abstracted.
postmodernism for you.
Yeah, so there's all sorts really. So it's just to encourage you to explore a little bit and try something else.
Anything goes.
Hockney has very bright colours though, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You
Yeah.
like Hockney,
Yeah,
do
let's
you?
get a few copies out. I think some things like, even just something like that on the cover, that's almost like sort of inspired by Van Gogh, isn't it? Sort of that sort of stylised, way of painting water. But I don't know if we've got
But
any.
he lives in California, doesn't he? He gets,
I think he moves around quite a bit. I've got a feeling he's in France now,
Is he?
but he's been back to Yorkshire and France. But again, these are probably, I could see an artist like Matisse in those sort of paintings.
yeah.
But probably,
Some of them seem quite childlike to me.
yeah.
Simplistic.
Yeah.
But obviously there's a lot of thought gone into
Yeah.
it.
Well, it'd be worth. I mean, this is where it's quite nice to try something you write and see if you can, pick a subject but interpret it in different styles. See if you can get them looking strong, bold, and yeah, they are quite sort of simplified. I think there's times when he's worked very naturalistically, like I don't know, some perhaps they're quite stylised, but there's quite a lot of naturalism in a painting like that. And then other times when he's moved away and gone less naturalistic. He's an artist that really is interested in just exploring all sorts of ways of representing things, really. So anyway, there's a few ideas here. Thank you anyway.